Welcome, guys, to another review video. We're the Samurai Reviews. This is the spoiler part of Jumanji 2, the next level.
And this is the next level of our review. Diving right in. All right, so we gave it a Samurai review of 6.8. It was just about what you'd expect from a sequel of Jumanji.
Yeah, definitely watch our non-spoiler part before you come and watch this,
Or else you don't know.
You wouldn't understand
how time works. We did have a couple qualms with the movie.
Yeah.
A couple problems. So mine's a little bit of like a overview of the last part. So I'll go first to summarize, because I think all of our problems dwell in the final act of this movie. The whole movie, you have The Rock and Kevin Hart playing Danny Squared, and Danny DeVito and Danny Glover. And they're this Boomer Rock and Boomer Hart, and it's awesome. They're so charismatic, and they're like such good actors that like this is right up their alley. Yeah, they're just being old people the whole time, but they're like these buff old people in this like video game that they don't understand. It's really fun to see their dynamic with each other, and they're still kind of like mad at each other over like a squabble they had. And so the first two acts are them doing that. And honestly, I could have watched a whole movie of that. Just them two. And I would have came out of it probably the same, like 7. Yeah. I would probably been like, yeah, that was solid. That was...
The other side kind of quest with Jack Black, and
yeah, that was good too.
It was good because of Jack Black's character playing as like the fridge.
Yeah, and so like Karen Gillan is a really good actress. Yeah. I just don't think they gave her a lot to work with like they did with Jack Black, or like they did with, or I guess, and they didn't give her anything new to work with. She was just the same person.
She was the only person that you kind of felt that she had that character growth from the first movie, but you don't get her character development in this movie.
When you compare her with like the other 3, you're just kind of like she's not bad. It's just not. I want to see The Rock say Florida again. Yeah. Like I just want to see him do that for an hour and a half.
It's not that she did a bad job.
No, that's what I'm saying. She's a great actress.
Her fight scenes were pretty cool.
Did what she could.
She had the nunchucks, and that was actually
the nunchucks. Awesome. They're like, oh, we have new powers, and their new powers are bullshit. Actually, that's another thing I got to talk about. Jack Black's character's geometry. Okay, hold up. I'll come back to the whole Act 3 thing, because this is important. Jack Black all the characters have new special abilities for their characters, right? Yeah. And Jack Black's is geometry, and he's all like, geometry, what am I going to use that in an adventure game? And so they get to this like bridge platforming section.
And it moves around.
Yeah, it's just moving bridges like in Harry Potter, the stairs. It's like that, but with bridges. And he's like running across the bridge, and he's like, geometry, jump on the rhombus, jump on the diamond. And I'm like, they're bridges. What do you mean the rhombus? And if you're the only one that's good at geometry, that's not going to make any sense to anyone. And then also, they just lined up as they ran. Yeah. It wasn't like they needed anyone to be like, run on the one that's in front of you. Like, of course. It was just such a stupid idea, and I don't know how someone was like, is this needed? Do we really need this? Just don't give him another strength. Yeah. Or give him a better one. Like, there's so many options.
The thing is that in the end too, like they all go on like these different bridges and stuff.
Yeah.
And you're just like, now they're done for, but they're not.
They're not.
And you're just fine.
Like, they get back. So his geometry was worthless. He was right the first time. Yeah. And then he was just like, jump on the rhombus, and it was just a bridge that was just a straight bridge. It wasn't even a gay bridge. Stop taking gay bridges out of movies. It was just one of those parts where I was just like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, and they're not, like, I can't even see. So maybe the bridges are in a rhombus, but they don't show me that. With that said, let's flash back to the past and talk about Act 3 again. Alright. So yeah, Act 2 was really fun. But then you get to Act 3 and they do this character change thing again.
Which is one of my negatives, the water energy looking thing that switches the characters.
We're just never going to get to the point. Okay, because I want to talk about
that was the start of the third act, when they went into the river, and then they switched characters.
But that happened before, when Karen Gillan and Jack Black's characters switched, and that happened for a minute, and I was just thinking, that's clearly there. So, I don't know how to explain this. It was like this tree in this middle of the switchy water, this green water that switches their characters. And it was like a glitch in the game because the game was broken. And they had to get to the tree to get this fruit from it. But they had to like swing over the water. But the water didn't like kill them when they fell in it. So like I imagine if the glitch wasn't there, it would just be them walking up to the tree and taking a fruit. But then there was this like prophecy that you had to follow the flame to get there. And that's how they swung across the water. It was just weird. I was like, so is this a glitch or is this not a glitch? Because that seems like it's there as an obstacle for this level. Yeah. It just didn't make sense in the way they built this, what this is, right? So yeah, that was one I didn't like. But Act 3, I keep spitting like this entire time. I've been spitting like crazy. Act 3, they switch back, and so they go back to their characters they were in the first movie. So like Spencer is The Rock now.
Fridges
moves, and I was just like, I don't want this. I want The Rock to pretend to be Danny DeVito for another 30 minutes. Yeah. And I want Kevin Hart to be... Well, I guess he kind of switched a little bit. No, he switched then. Because he jumped in with a horse, yeah. So it was just a whole thing where I was like, I don't want... It just got so boring at that point. Because it was just... They were so bland comparatively to the characters that they were playing with Danny DeVito.
Besides Jack Black's character when he went
back
Jack
to Black,
the girl.
But he stayed good. He was good the whole way through. Yeah.
He played great as the fridge, and then they switched, and he was the girl, and then he was amazing there. And I was all like, yes.
Yeah.
But it was just him.
Yeah, he could just run like that. He can make anyone like interesting, but like The Rock cannot make Spencer interesting. He's so boring. He's one of the most boring characters in movies.
Yeah, when you realize the Spencer is like this different person, like this
Awkwafina's character
in the beginning, like I was just like, why is she here? This is lame. And then she switches
and becomes Danny DeVito, and then she really comes out of her shell, and I was like, nice. And she played a really good Danny DeVito. But yeah, and then Danny Glover is the horse now, and he eventually stays as the horse. And he stays as the horse because he's sick, and that was the emotional moment we talked about with The Rock and Kevin Hart when they were the Danny Squareds, and they were talking, and he was like, why'd you come back and try and like make up with me? And he was like, I'm dying, Eddie. And he was like, and it was just really sad. It was actually like, I was like, ow, what? Say Florida again. Say Florida. It was tough. And then especially the end when they say goodbye, because he stays in the game because he wants to just be a horse. Because he's like, I'm dying. I want to be this flying horse. He doesn't. That's his point. Is that the horse had flight? But let me wrap up. Let me wrap up here. Let me wrap up.
You got me.
We've done too many rewinds. The tape's getting all tied up. So to wrap it up, the last act was just so bland compared to the first and second act. You had this really fun. It was super pointless, but it was fun. It was a very funny, entertaining, like as a comedy movie. That's like really, really good. But yeah, just the wrap up. It was so bland. But flying horse.
So Brett kind of mentions that, well, you get into that third act and then they're getting into that big boss battle and they're trying to get the amulet thing to like show it to the sky and then call out their name Jumanji, and that's how you win the game. The horse is trapped in its cage, and then one of the Jonases, I can't remember who he is, Nick. Nick goes and he goes to like this booby trap place, which was like stupid. I thought that was lame.
Oh, it was so boring.
I was like,
ooh, he's stepping on rocks. Yeah, woohoo!
Yeah, he's like, I think I got this.
What a climax.
And I'm just like, okay. Like, I know you're eventually going to get the horse.
Kevin would have got it first try.
Released it. Maybe the guys like geometry would have like done something to actually get the horse out.
Maybe could have used Jack Black's the rhombus rock.
You're just like, okay, he's going to get the horse out. He's not going to lose his life, blah, blah, blah. So then he taps on the horse and he's like, let's go, buddy. And it, shows his, like the horse's powers, but it only shows like this little square bit to it. And then he's all like, oh, that's interesting. Or,
and then
something like that. And it cuts. And you're just like,
that horse can fly.
That horse is going to fly. You absolutely know the horse is going to fly. And you're just like, why is a horse going to fly? Why? A horse can fly?
Also, why did you have to hide that from me?
Yeah.
Like, just have it come up and then have, like, give the opportunity to the viewer to read it. And if they read it, they read it. If they don't, they don't. And then they're like, oh, was that on the thing? And then they find out later. That's a cool little, like...
I felt they could have been a little bit more creative on getting the stone up into like the sky, like the sun, and calling out its name.
Like the teamwork thing they did in the first one.
And that's why I like the first one just a little bit better, because, you know, she like died, she went up and she flew it and she tossed the stone, and then he, you know, did the whole thing. I thought that was a better...
Yeah, they needed to work as a team. It
teamwork.
wasn't just like a, man, if we had a flying horse, oh, we do? You know?
That was way too convenient for the end, and I just absolutely hated that. And that's why that first one... His ending was just a little bit better.
They even did do the, he's about to die, but he tosses it to her to do Jumanji. Like, that's the same thing, man. Why is it always got to be tossing the rock?
That was absolutely my worst, the worst negative part. But that was at the end. It did not affect anything at all between the first or the second act. That's why it's
still really good.
It's still really good.
Yeah, most of the movie was like, on a comedy perspective, probably like an 8.
When we revealed that green water, like switchy character thing, I'm just like, oh, this is what's going to happen. They're going to go back to the original characters, which they did. And then I'm like, it's not going to be interesting anymore. That's exactly what happened. And that also was so convenient for the characters in the movie and stuff. And I'm just all like, I thought Jumanji
it worked out
wanted to
the first
kill
try.
people.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole part of Jumanji, is not to like give them... It's this mystical power kind of like game. The Jumanji game itself would want to do that.
This is a game that held like a kid captive for like 30 years.
They could have done the whole team thing and worked as a team to get their characters that they had to...
Or they could have just been... Like, the whole thing was kind of like, you're what makes you special, not the avatar that you play as. And then they were like, we need our avatars back, because that's what makes us special. And it was like, no, man. You're like, they started to learn how to use... like these characters that didn't have their strengths, which was like the point of the first one. They're very different characters, and they were learning it again. It was in a new way, and I was like, okay, these are new characters. They have different like abilities. They abandoned that immediately.
That's my other problem. But like I said in the first, and well, not in the first, like I said in the non-spoiler part, the really good part of this movie was that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart's character development. Like I said in the non-spoiler part, the only thing that brought this movie to its equal with the first Jumanji was Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Kevin Hart's character. Their story with the Danny Squareds, like the old Danny's, and their character development, they did an absolutely great job in their performance. But yeah, their whole story and their complexity of like them being friends in the beginning, and they open up this restaurant, and then he's like, I'm not gonna...
He wanted to go make a family.
Yeah, and then that ruined, and that's what he thought is like, that ruined his career. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character,
Danny DeVito, Eddie,
get, you know, emotionally invested between those characters, and that's what made this movie a better one than the first one, because the only good character in there was Jack Black.
Yeah.
So
actually, Karen Gillan was really good in the first one. It's just this one she didn't change very much. But that's
They
not as
kinda
funny as
all
her
did.
playing a boomer.
But yeah,
It's not that funny. That's what I'm saying. Like, she did fine. It's just, it wasn't the same. She wasn't offered the same thing that they other were. The two dating, Karen Gillan and The Rock, Spencer and whoever is Karen Gillan's. I did not care about their relationship. I didn't care. They broke up, and then they get back together during the game. And they're like, I was just nervous that you wouldn't like me anymore. And I'm like, I've heard that so many times. Can we just go back to The Rock saying Florida? That's all I wanted. I just wanted The Rock just went Florida, Florida.
Just talking really slow.
Yeah.
So like,
that right there is an ostrich.
Did you know?
Get to the point. Yeah, no, there's so many good points, and then there are just like these moments in it where you're just like, who gives a Jumanji? Who gives a flying Florida? It's definitely weighed down by its pointless parts. Like, you just take those out and you have a really good movie on your hands. Mm-hmm. I could definitely see, like, if they took those parts out and refined it a little bit and created a better ending for, like, The Rock.
With no flying horse.
I could see this movie being an 8. Fortunately, that's not what happened. No. So, but the end credit scene ends with
they're at this cafe
guy,
and Danny DeVito's character is all like, gets he's like, I can help out
Yeah.
with the restaurant a little bit.
So he kind of gets to work at the restaurant.
Yes,
now,
and then the other 4 characters are at that cafe, and they're kind of regrouping. They're like, let's not do this again.
Okay, Spencer says that, and you were like, everyone was in it. Like, no, you were the one who went and did it again. They were like, why are we back in here? And you were like, sorry. And now you're like, hey guys, let's not do that again. Like, Spencer's the worst. Yeah. So while they're there,
they leave the cafe.
Well, before they're there, they're like, Winston Bishop from New Girl is the heater repair guy. And he sees the game and he like touches it, and that's what happens.
Yeah. And he goes and he touches the game, and it kind of like, he's about to touch the game and it glitches. And then it cuts, and then it goes to the cafe. Those 4 are about to leave. And there's a whole herd of like just ostriches just like just kind of running down, and they're like,
uh-oh. And the like drums start playing. Yeah. So Jumanji's back in the real world, like in the 95 one. Yeah. So I look forward to that. I really hope they still have the avatars and they're like actually what the avatar character is supposed to be.
Yeah.
So it's like actually like Brave Smolder Stone or whatever the hell. Brave Stone. And it's actually like Ruby Roundhouse. And they're like, we were you. And they're like, no, you weren't, and like stuff like that. But yeah, so like I'm definitely excited if they do another one. But they do gotta skip the just trash Spencer, man. Just be like, oh no, Spencer died.
Yeah.
Just start the movie like that.
Hope you guys liked our discussion for Jumanji 2, The Next Level.
Yeah, rated at 6.8.
Hit that like button, comment, share. Definitely subscribe. And we'll see you guys next time in our review video. So
you'll be there. I'll be there. He'll be there. Coda probably won't be there. Me, Josh, and my mom will definitely be there. So yeah. See you then. Are we in Florida?
Perfect.